So this is the courthouse. It was the Carteret County Courthouse, quite important, and it was built in 1796, and it was built and sat up at the traffic light there where the courthouse is today, the big brick one. Quite a while back it was moved to the next street here and made into a house at one point, and people lived in it. Would you like to come in and have a look? Here we go. This wonderful old courthouse, 1796, built while George Washington was still around, I must say. I have to mention that it's been moved because, like many other buildings here, they've been moved because they weren't in the right place, let's say. Anyway, it was moved, and we are so lucky to have this. It was taken back to the way it was. It had been made into a house. And so, as you can see, we have the big wide boards here, and exactly the right kind of courthouse they would have had back in those days, 1790s. So we are very fortunate. You can see we have the bar here, as they call it today, and 4 times a year they would have a market here, and on that day they would have a court session 4 times a year, and they were called quarter sessions, I think you call them. Yeah. Okay. On that day you would have 6 jurymen there, all men by the way here. 6 jurymen there and 6 jurymen there. You'd have 3 judges, very important people, who had education, and people looked up to them. They were people of stature, I guess you'd call it. We know that Samuel Leffers was clerk of the court here for several years anyway. The 3 judges were upstanding people who had knowledge and were looked up to. You'd also have an officer, an army officer, I think, probably someone who would be someone respectful that was in charge of a company of men or something like that. To be on a jury, you had to have a clean record, and you had to be someone of worth, that you people liked you, you were a respected person. And then on the day of in question, when the trial was, as I mentioned, it was just 4 times a year. If you committed a crime just after they'd had a court session, you'd have to wait in the jail for your trial to come up, which wasn't very good. You'd have to be careful there. So on that day, the sheriff would go to the jail, pick up the prisoner, and bring him in here. He would stand here at the bar. Then the 3 judges would start questioning him, whoever he was. And then the clerk of the court would be making good records. I mean, Samuel Leffers was pretty good at this. You were allowed to stand here, the public, but you weren't allowed to sit or talk. I think you'd be thrown out if you didn't behave yourself properly. So that was how it went. And finally, the judges would come to a decision, and whatever it would be, you'd have to pay a penalty or do a work for somebody perhaps, or many kinds of things. They had several kinds of things that you could do, that we would have to do. And then that would be the end of that. And then if you committed another crime, someone else committed another crime, it would be 3 months later before you had your trial. So that was the way it all worked in those days. I should just mention, if you'd like to notice, we have had a wall in here with, I think, an entrance here and an entrance there. That was when it was a house. It was made into a house. But they managed to keep all the original floors. I think it's just amazing. There is an upstairs, if you'd like to come up there with me, would you? and we'll go up and we'll have a little look. Please be careful. I have to hang on a bit. We have quite a nice big space, of course, here. And this is where the jury would sit and deliberate. So here we are upstairs in the attic, as it were, of the courthouse. And you can see where the jury would sit, the 12 men, and they would have to come to a conclusion on whether the person was guilty or not guilty. And then the chief juryman would say, let's go downstairs and finish this trial off. So that's what they would do. Notice the cedar shakes here. They are just as they were years and years ago. I've come over here when it's pouring with rain thinking, surely it must leak. But no, it doesn't leak one bit. I think maybe they swell or something, the shakes. But anyway, they're wonderful. And you can see how dry it is here. One other bit of history. General Burnside's campaign came down through here when they to take the fort, Fort Macon, and he billeted some of his officers here, just in the town. But the first night, he had them come here, and they stayed here. That's the story we've heard here. So another little bit of history there. That would be silence in court. And a quill pen, of course, would be for Mr. Leffers, for instance. He was the clerk of the court here for a long time, keeping good records of what happened during the sessions. And the sheriff probably would sit here just to make sure that, a figure to make sure that everyone behaved and was doing what they were supposed to do and nothing bad. Thank you so much for coming into the courthouse here. We're finishing our tour here today and hope you've enjoyed it. I know I have enjoyed talking with you. Okay.